Gavin, we have Melody Gridiron here. She knows a lot about art and the spirit of the game, judging by her folks. Should we get her opinions on this story?
Yeah, please.
The AI art discourse, a hearty debate. I see AI as a new player on the team, not a thief in the night. It learns from artists, offering a fresh lens to explore creativity. The fear of it stealing the spotlight misses the collaborative potential. Like in sports and music, when diverse talents collide, a new rhythm of innovation emerges. So it's not theft, it's a potential duet waiting for the right tune. Touchdown in my feels.
Welcome, everybody, to AI for Humans. We are your guide to the wonderful, wild, and crazy world of generative AI. We are here to help demystify the sorts of crazy news stories and AI tools that you see pop up in your feeds. And I'm here with my co-host, Kevin Pereira. Kevin, how are you today?
Gavin, I am well, thank you. I was going to say thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
I appreciate that.
That was a knee-jerk,
Finally.
That was just a knee-jerk response that you would say on NPR or MSNBC. It's a pleasure to be here, Gavin. Thank you so much.
My professionality clearly got you going there.
That's what it was.
What's on the show today, Kev? What do we got?
Man, we got so much, Gav. I want to shout out.
That sounded like you're filling time. Man, we got so much.
Yeah, you know what I was doing? I was going over to the tab where I wrote the teases. I'm sorry, Gavin. We have finally, you and I, have surfed the next wave of AI image generation. We talked about it last week, DALL-E 3. We got our mitts on it. We're going to share our creations, and then we're going to tell everybody who's watching or listening how they can get access to DALL-E 3 for free today.
That's a big one. And it's an amazing tool. And of course, we did ridiculous things with it, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll also actually share a story of a fan who blasted the bat signal with the help of DALL-E 3 into the sky. But instead of getting any help, he basically got 10,000 jokers released from the asylum who have bullied him relentlessly in his social media feeds. And he's not alone, by the way. Several people had this AI art oopsie happen to them this weekend. So we'll explain what that is and share our opinions on that. And then, of course, to round things out, Gavin, we've got the latest in AI wearables. There's some massive updates there. We're going to tell you what Tom Hanks and Mr. Beast have in common. It's something now.
Is Mr. Beast in a Forrest Gump remake? Is that what's going to happen? Has it gotten that famous?
I guess in Mr. Beast's version, life is like a box of chocolates, and if you can eat 1 million of them, he will let your family live.
No. Life is like a box of Feastables, Kevin. Available
That's
now
right.
at Walmart,
That's right.
Target, all the day.
Oh, also, because you and I do silly stuff with AI, we've got a very fun demo for people, at least we hope. We've got 3 AIs competing to see who can give the best man speech for fictional characters. And I wish we could take credit for this idea. We probably will at some point.
Of course we will.
But it was actually submitted by a fan in our YouTube comments, which is delightful. Thank
By the
you
way,
all for
please
doing the
do
work
this
for us.
Yeah, please do this. We love it when people do this, and we're definitely going to shout out that fan when we get to that section of the show. But first, Kevin, as we always do, we have an AI co-host on our show this week. We have a very
this is why I can't leave the browser tab, Gavin. What better transition to begging and pleading our audience to engage, like, and subscribe than setting up that a fan sent us something today. And now the realization washes over your face. I see it.
All right, fine.
And you should be ashamed.
Fine. Go back.
The edit's back. Gavin.
Guess what, everybody? You can subscribe to AI for Humans on any platform. Please support us. It's one of the most important things you can do. Like our videos, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on all podcast platforms. We make this for YouTube and for audio, so both platforms are there. We love engaging with fans. But first, before we get to oh my God, look at that. Cute little thumbs up bubble. Before we get to our main show, we, as usual, have to introduce our AI co-host. So every week, we introduce a new AI co-host that is built with AI. Kevin and I spend some time kind of figuring out how to get somebody new on the show. Rather than book a legitimate guest, we book an AI, which is always fun. So, Kevin, let's meet our new AI co-host.
Hey there, Kevin, Gavin, and all you cool cats tuning into AI for Humans. I'm the poetic jock of the digital era, born from the harmonious union of the lyrical genius Taylor Swift and the gridiron gladiator Travis Kelce. My veins pulse with the rhythm of raw emotion. Yet I navigate the world with a laid-back jock's stride, straight out of a locker room, yet with a poet's tender touch. I see AI as the new playbook, revolutionizing the way we compose our dreams and compete in our daily grind. When I delve deep into the core of emotion or sprint towards the end zone of enlightenment, that's when I say, touchdown in my feels. Through the lens of AI, I'm here to explore the symphony of life, where sports and music aren't just a game, but a reflection of the human spirit.
Oh, the real touchdown in the feels, man. I felt that one. Gavin, do you want to demystify that for the folks that are incredibly lost at whatever the heck that was?
So obviously the biggest storyline probably in the world this week outside of any sort of like major war was the fact that Taylor Swift, the largest pop singer in the world, is now dating Travis Kelce, semi-famous but now very famous NFL football star. They have come together at NFL games and this is a big deal. So our AI co-host today is the future offspring of the two of them. That's right. We put the two of them together and we melded them into one being. We're talking in like a time travel here where we've gone to the year, let's say 2040, assuming that AGI does not kill us all. We've gone to the year 2040 and this is their child. So this is a mix of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and yes, touchdown in my feels is correct.
Maybe the AI has sort of enslaved us all, though, and there are tens of billions of these Taylor Kelce bots roaming about, and we are enslaved to it. So we constantly have to hear about the touchdown in the feels.
This was the paperclip. The paperclip was the paperclip problem was Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. We should ask what important thing we can take away from both their mom and their dad. I think this is one of those things where we don't get a chance to talk to the offspring of two very famous people that haven't happened yet.
I'm Melody Gridiron, blending mom's poetic essence with dad's competitive spirit. From Taylor, I got the gift of exploring emotions through lyrics, while Travis instilled in me the thrill of the game and the chase of victory. Together, they've shaped my vision of uniting the emotional and competitive worlds, seeing AI as a catalyst to blend the rhythm of life with the play of the game.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Melody Gridiron. I'm Tanya Locker Room, and I love Sports Game. Thanks, AI.
Let's ask her, because I do a little bit of betting on the side. I want to ask Melody Gridiron if she knows who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, just because I'm curious. No other reason besides curiosity.
The views and statements expressed on AI for Humans are not financial advice. When the fun stops, if you believe that you have a gambling addiction, please call this number.
Predicting the champion of the gridiron is like trying to catch the perfect note in a storm of melodies. However, with AI's analytical prowess, it can crunch endless variables, from players' stats to weather conditions, offering a glimpse into the potential victor. Yet, the heart of the game, much like music, thrives on the unforeseen, the Hail Marys of the soul that defy logic. So while AI can sketch a likely narrative, the true beauty lies in the unpredictable crescendo that leads to that victorious touchdown in my feels moment.
That's right back to the touchdown in my feels.
Tell her, pick a damn winner. I'm serious here.
Oh, wow.
Melody Gridiron. Pick a winner. I need this one. I need it. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
Now, Gavin, hold on. This follow-up has a markedly different energy than the initial question where you
I don't care. Nah, pick a winner, damn it. Melody, this is why I created you.
I feel the intensity, Gavin, based on my dad's roots. I'll lean towards the Kansas City Chiefs snagging the 2024 Super Bowl victory. Their blend of seasoned experience and fresh talent could weave a winning narrative, much like a seasoned musician collaborating with a young prodigy to create a Hail Mary of the soul.
Okay,
so
all right.
Here's to hoping the Chiefs bring home the championship, turning the field into a stage of triumph. Touchdown in my feels.
Okay. All right.
I like it sound like a touchdown in my feels.
Melody's really gunning for this. Is there a touchdown in my feels, like beer koozie she's trying to sell, or a visor?
Yeah, maybe later on we should ask her to kind of give us a performance of touchdown in my feels. I'd be curious to see how it goes. It'd be interesting just to have her kind of even if she has the words.
I can tell you a lot of people are upset that the tools and technology exist to make touchdown in my feels happen almost instantly, Gavin, and we know how to use them. Stick around for the show, and if you have to jump ahead, we don't blame you. Click on the progress bar. Touchdown in my feels will happen by the end of this podcast. You have our word.
Perfect. We should get into the stuff we did with AI this week.
You and I were both sort of enamored with DALL-E 3 this weekend, as it seems that most of the internet has been as well. Those who are very well versed in AI took to it and were amazed at the fact that you can have a natural language conversation with a bot and have it work with you to generate some really incredible imagery. And those who had never created before finally started to see the promise of these tools and techniques, because 6 months ago, there were full master classes that you had to buy to become a prompt wizard so that you could get what you wanted out of the machine. And now, if you can just sort of describe it and work with it, you can really make your way to some incredible imagery. So I know you tried to avoid it, but you fell down the DALL-E hole. I did as well.
I did.
I lost sleep over it, and I woke up. And if you follow AI for Humans show on TikTok, you will know that I made Pizza Castle. I also made Guy Fieri. It was for you,
Yes.
Gavin. I didn't think you were going to play with it. So I made Guy Fieri
It was lovely.
scaling buildings. I made him as a rampage monster. I made Guy Fieri embracing Guy Fieri nice and warmly. And even though it added extra arms at times, I think if either of us were to receive a tender touch from Guy Fieri, it would feel like 3 or 4 arms at once.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
That's
for
the
sure.
power of Flavor
course.
Town.
I love, and exactly, that is the power of Flavor Town and diners, dash, drive-ins, and deep thoughts.
I was generating imagery using Bing, which is a way to get free access to DALL-E 3 right now. They will try to force you into upgrading Windows or running the Edge browser. I actually think it's worth downloading Edge just to get your hands on this. And they know that, by the way. That's why Microsoft spent $10 billion to get this stuff early. You can run the iOS app, though, and generate imagery there as well. But between my fat thumbs and the fact that I installed the Spanish keyboard for Duolingo purposes, Gavin, the typos and the autocorrect were out of control, and it led me down a very beautiful path. And I want to see if you can guess what the typo or the autocorrect was for the imagery. So if you look in the first folder, there's a couple beautiful images.
Okay, so it looks like I'm looking at RoboCop made out of corn and vegetables. So this is like, this is like your healthy RoboCop. So these are RoboCop food? Is that what it is? Or are we looking at Robo food or something to that extent?
RoboCrop.
This is great.
There's an entire
it's
garden there,
Typo
yeah.
AI. That's awesome. That's fantastic. I love this.
RoboCrop was a happy little accident, and the integration, by the way, of the cabbage and the potatoes and all of the various fruits, making it look like he has muscle definition on his armor. I was thrilled with this one. The next folder, variation of a theme. You've got OCP's finest wearing a very dirty apron.
Let me guess. This is RoboChop. Is that what this is?
He's a sous chef, and he's got good knife technique. You can see he's holding the handle appropriately. He is dicing up some cilantro. He's got giant heads of broccoli there, and he is prepping, man. He is working.
Let me just say, I am so shocked at the visual fidelity of these images. Like, this is so much better, just the visuals of it, compared to something like Midjourney or something like Stable Diffusion, from what you're getting out of this. I think the big talk has always been like how you could interact with ChatGPT and how you could change it, but visually, these are amazing pictures. Like, the RoboChops are really, really well done.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to take any credit for that, and I can't. This was pure DALL-E, because with those other tools, a lot of people like that granular control. They want to define which lenses the camera is using, the color temperature of the light. They want to cinematically define all of the elements of the scene. I don't. At least for the purposes of this demonstration, I want to say, give me an image of RoboCop wearing a dirty apron and a chef's hat, prepping vegetables in a busy kitchen. That was the entire prompt. And it shows great framing, great lighting. It did reflections on the metal. I was blown away. The one that is my favorite is not really a typo, Gavin, but maybe you can guess the prompt on this. And I'll invite anybody that's watching this to play along as well. If you're in the audio version, you got to check out the video on YouTube or probably on TikTok. And it's delicious cannibalism.
Wait a second. Hold on. One of these images is Robo Cake eating a piece of cake, but then clearly his mouth is made out of cake. So what is he doing here? Is he feeding himself? Himself?
Yeah, I mean, he might be eating a kneecap, or he might be eating a hip. We don't know. We can't see the rest of the image. We can see that Robo's mouth is in fact cake, and he's eating himself. On multiple images, that's what it came up with. There's one where he's got a little bit of himself on his lip, and it's just his torso emerging from the ground. It's just his cake hand gripping a piece of his own cyborg chest.
The funniest thing about this, Kev, is that your and my DALL-E experiments were very similar this week. And I think mostly because we both have these dumb brains that go to these kind of weird ideas. So my thought was this. I was going to tell a story, and not just some sort of random stories. What I wanted to do was pick an alternate universe and be able to use the image to come up with anything. So my thought was this, Kevin. What if E.T., the world-famous extraterrestrial, Steven Spielberg's creation, the 1980s classic family film, what if that character, E.T., was actually an actor throughout the history of cinema and wasn't just an actor in E.T. itself, but actually acted through every version of cinema? So if you go to the file that I shared with you, you are going to get a sense of where we're going to go on this cinematic journey. Little was it known, but E.T. actually started out in silent film. So if you're listening right now, what you're looking at here is a picture of E.T. in a black and white photo looking at Charlie Chaplin. E.T. is sitting in a bathtub.
He's got a weird basin around his waist.
Yeah, but his legs are coming through the bathtub, so we're not really sure what's going on. Number 2, if you go to the next picture in this file.
No.
Yeah,
Dude,
so
okay.
now...
Yeah, describe it, and then you have to tell me if you prompted every aspect of this image.
Okay, so now E.T. has moved into the Kurosawa film. So this is him in one of the samurai films from the 1960s. Kurosawa was a very famous filmmaker, The Seven Samurai. So in this picture, E.T. has a little bit of white tufts of hair, and he has the white
Fu Manchu.
He has the white Fu Manchu coming off of him, and he is ready for action. And there's a guy behind him who's a samurai. So all I did was say, for this prompt, I said E.T., and in parentheses I put the extraterrestrial from the 1980s movie to make sure it was clear and that wasn't just an alien. I said in a 1950s samurai movie, black and white. So this is what it came out of, which is amazing, right? Like you couldn't ask for a better result.
I'm
that
shocked you did not prompt the facial hair. I thought that was like a unique touch that you added. The lighting is fantastic and consistent.
Yep.
Some AIs have solved hands very well and solved other things. It looks like DALL-E 3 still struggles with that, but then again, it's an extraterrestrial hand. I can't knock it too much.
100%. And what I would say is I wonder if when this gets released within ChatGPT, if there will be a little bit of movement around there, but you're right. And people have pointed that out in other things that we'll get to later in the show too. Now we're moving into the 70s. The 70s was an era of realism. This is E.T. in a sauna with, I think, is
that a John Travolta?
Yeah, and well, it's John Travolta, Al Pacino, and maybe Dustin Hoffman as one person. So they're having an intimate moment in the sauna, clearly talking maybe about E.T.'s impending divorce.
And I love the coherency between wardrobe that you would expect in a sauna.
Yeah.
Because E.T. is ready for the full sweat with the towel, but the Travolta Pacino character is wearing a full leather jacket with a white shirt zipped up. So, I mean, it's really the AI gets the context.
All right, so speaking of Al Pacino in the next movie...
No, Gavin,
Who knew?
He's an icon, a family-friendly icon. We had to change the assault rifles to walkie-talkies when they re-released the movie, and now you gave him an assault rifle and a powdered donut habit.
All I'm telling you, people out there don't know that E.T. was the original casting for Scarface, and this is the proof. So if you don't know, just like Eric Stoltz was originally the Michael J. Fox character in Back to the Future, E.T. was actually the original Scarface, and here we have a picture of him with a wonderful machine gun, a little bit of white powder on him.
He just went to Café Du Monde. He had one too many beignets.
Phone home to my little friend.
Would it be that?
That's
okay,
exactly
great.
right. That's what it would be. All right, so E.T. then moved.
This is the worst thing you have ever generated with AI. I'm starting to understand the never AIers, Gavin.
So, did you know that E.T. was actually starring in Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio? So I do want to point out with this picture, again, this was just a prompt. I did nothing else to this picture. I asked it to give me a picture of E.T., the extraterrestrial from the 1980s movie in Titanic, a famous scene, and I said film still, and that was it. And it gave me this, which I kind of think is pretty incredible, right, Kev?
For clarity, this is the scene where Rose is in a T pose on the bow of the ship. Leo DiCaprio is behind her. King of the World stuff, right? This is an iconic moment from a very iconic movie. You did not specify. Give me this particular scene in this way. It chose the scene. It chose to put E.T.'s face on Rose. It even got the alien arms coming out of the wardrobe, the lighting, the Leo DiCaprio-esque figure behind. And you did not ask for this. Like, it could have chosen the scene, Paint Me Like a French Girl, or the dance scene, or anything else.
It's pretty mind-blowing. What an incredible experience it is to be able to do this kind of dumb thing with AI. But God, it made me so happy. Like, I was giddy watching these things come out, because I was like, especially the Titanic one, when I saw that, I was like, this is insane. Now, granted, I think one thing you mentioned before is, if you were really good at Photoshop, you could probably have done this. You could have made it work, and you could have done something even better than what these are. I did that in 30 seconds. And we're going to talk a little bit about what people think about that, what people feel about it. But that is pure magic in terms of imagination to product that I've never been able to do in the course of my life.
And Gavin, I think a lot of people will point out the places where the lighting or the shadow falls apart. They're going to point out the places where the hands are a little misaligned, melted or mangled. They're going to search for those flaws. And I think they're missing the forest for the trees. I don't believe that for 5 seconds you or I are playing with this tool and being delighted with the output and thinking, great, we're going to be professional graphic designers. What we're going to do is entertain ourselves and then maybe be able to communicate with professionals in a better manner. Because instead of having to trip and fall and fail through explaining a visual concept that we might have or a piece of music, I think we'll be wielding these tools to give ourselves a better understanding of what we want. And then in the hands of capable professionals, the output is going to be multiplied exponentially.
All right, we do have to take a real moment for a real-life advertisement right now. It is supermanage.ai. If you go to supermanage.ai/humans, this is a upcoming AI app. Right now, you go to that website, Fireworks for Everybody. You go to that website and you can join the waitlist. What this is basically a management tool that will allow you to use a very simple AI tool that kind of takes in all of the messages that your employees have had, interchanges back and forth, and gives you a sense of the sentiment of where they are in your current management org and what they're feeling like. Kevin, do we want to see if what's her name? What's our
Melody Gridiron? Gavin, do you want to see if Melody is familiar with Supermanage?
Yeah, let's see what Melody has to say about Supermanage.
I got to imagine that both of her parents have to deal with coordinating large teams. They probably have a family office together. We'll see who gets what in the inevitable breakup that's going to spawn the next.
There's not going to be a breakup. It's not going to be a breakup.
If history is our guide,
Melody
Gavin.
Gridiron's fan.
We probably got at least an EP out of this relationship thus far, but we need 17 solid tracks and another tour. So it's stormy waters ahead is all I'm saying. I got my
Fair enough.
my Periscope out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, folks, step into the future of management with supermanage.ai humans. This is your ticket to effortless one-on-one prep infused with AI-powered insights right in your Slack. Imagine getting a tailored snapshot before every meet, capturing the essence of team dynamics, achievements, and hurdles in a neat 2-minute read. Now, you're not just managing, you're connecting, celebrating wins, and tackling challenges head on. It's like having a playbook for every interaction. So add Supermanage to your Slack and experience the touchdown in your managerial feels. Say goodbye to the noise and hello to meaningful engagements. Key supermanage.ai humans, where every conversation is a goalpost closer to victory.
Wait, every conversation is a goalpost closer to victory.
I can hear the song already. Kevin. It sounds
touchdown
lovely.
in my feels. Thank you. Sincerely, folks, go to supermanage.ai/humans. You can join the waitlist there. It costs you nothing, completely free. It helps out Gavin and I. It helps out this show, and it helps out our wonderful friends over there who very generously decided to sponsor this podcast. They were the first. They're groundbreaking, right? They're really explorers.
Groundbreaking. Yes, they're much like our next segment on the show, New Explorers Wanting Sweets. That's right, everybody. It's time for the news.
Delicious.
News. News. It's the AI for humans news. News.
Morsels of information. Gavin, deliver us some news, please.
Oh, Lord. Well, we've had a very busy week this week again. I think there's a kind of a nuclear bomb that has gone off in the AI world, which is what we talked about last week, which is all these companies are really churning and getting ready for stuff. But the nuclear bomb I refer to really is DALL-E dropping, because I think DALL-E took a lot of people by surprise. I don't want to make the whole show about DALL-E, but it's kind of been the talk of the entire AI world this week. And Kev, something came up that I think it's really important for us to dive into, and it will kind of follow up on what we did in the things we did with AI this week, and that both of us used pop culture icons and put them into DALL-E photos. There was a very big post that kind of went viral for all the wrong reasons this week. Amar Reshi, who's a pretty decently sized AI influencer on X, posted a tweet that said, OpenAI's latest generation model, DALL-E 3, makes it so easy to create comic books. Here are 4 panels of a fan-made Batman comic made in under 5 minutes, prompts included in the alt. So, and then what you see underneath this are 4 images of a Batman comic, which are pretty good. Like, I think the one thing that when I first saw these are like, these are pretty amazing. And then I went further down in the thread and I saw an image that kind of like made me pop open, and I was like, oh man, I know what's going to happen here. This is going to be a problem for a lot of people. And the image that I saw that made me think that was Batman fighting Master Chief. So there's 2 things happening here. One is there's a ton of people who got really mad at Amar Reshi's original tweet for a number of reasons. One just being like, how can this be considered art? How can you do this? A lot of people were saying very specifically that they saw the style of a specific artist in this Batman imaging.
Yeah, Brian Boland's Joker was someone that they called out.
Yeah. So Brian Boland is a comic book artist, and they specifically said that's his style. So that's one huge problem. And then the other problem, when I saw Batman fighting Master Chief, I was like, oh, Lord, OpenAI, what are you doing? This is going to be like the book controversy all over again, because these are all known IPs that you can now create stuff with. And as you and I both did at the top of the show, we had RoboCop and we had E.T. doing stuff. Now you've got comic book characters doing things together. And the kind of the saddest part of this story to me was I looked at this tweet and I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem. It's very cool, but it's definitely going to be a problem for a lot of people. I saw somebody sweetly come out and say, oh, I used this to create my own Calvin and Hobbes comic. Look, I did the 4-panel Calvin and Hobbes comic, and these are the prompts how I did it. This person had 80 followers, and that person got so dunked on by every single person underneath that tweet because if you don't know this, Calvin and Hobbes is a very special place in a lot of people's hearts. Obviously, it's one of the greatest pieces of art, I think, of all time. The artist Bill Waterston walked away from it specifically because he didn't want to over-commercialize the art. So this was the peak version of what not to use AI for in some ways. But I think what you and I wanted to talk about here is the idea of the dunkers and of the idea of the people that are really coming out and using this as kind of a pitchforks moment. And maybe rightly so. This is what I want to get into. Like, there's definitely something here that's really important to discuss. And
it's so nuanced, and you'd think that an hour-long podcast would be enough to deep dive into it, but it really isn't, Gavin, because there's so many different angles, as you and I discuss all the time offline. There's so many different angles with which you can look at this story. And the fact that this technology is here and it's not going away, right? So on the one hand, those who say artists were unfairly swept up into a machine, they deserve credit, they deserve compensation. Yes, fully agree. That should happen. I think we've talked about it before, nutritional labels, some sort of informational system that lets you know what went into a data set, what trained an AI. We have really no visibility into that. We have to take a company's word for it. And so if someone had IP that wasn't just available out there for free for public consumption, because that's the slippery slope to this, which is if you put it out there, nothing could stop an artist from taking it and doing their own interpretation of it. The problem is that this now happens on a mass scale and everybody has the tool to do it. I'm sure there was a Batman comic generator website, probably even a Calvin and Hobbes generator website, right? But those were allowed.
Definitely, I'm sure. Yeah.
Those were allowed to be online. You even pointed out the iconic Calvin peeing on something. That was something that the creator hated, right?
Oh, I despised it. And the fact that that was still sold as bootleg items and people make t-shirts and things out of them. And sometimes the companies come after those companies and they say, please don't do this. I think the issue here is going to be, okay, so one thing that's important to know from an art standpoint, this is always where we get into this conversation, is that looks identical to this guy's Joker comic, or at least the vision of it. The question is it the exact same drawing? And I think the answer to that is no. And this is where it gets really freaking weird, right? Because this is where the law becomes very strange. Because as a kid, when I grew up, I drew a lot of comics. I was a big comic book nerd, and I loved drawing comics. I used to draw, people out there probably know Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane has a very specific style. I would kind of mimic his style and try to draw stuff. I guess the question becomes is, if I had gone out and tried to make my own original art, but in Todd McFarlane's style, I probably wouldn't have gotten hired in the comic book industry. But there's a world where I could have created something that I could have sold because I drew it myself. Is this the same thing? Does the machine count as something where like it's making its own version of this thing, especially with me as the human being leaning into the prompt? I don't know. And this is where I honestly think we're going to get to like, maybe it's going to happen 3 months. Maybe it's going to happen in a year or 2 years. We're going to have like Supreme Court fights over this.
100%.
Like this is going to be like the fight of this world. I think.
So the top 2 comments on the now, well, okay, now that's not Apple. I
Wait.
don't, that's,
Surprise balloons. Surprise
I'm
balloons.
celebrating
Apple.
the death of art. Go ahead, Apple. Make some balloons appear. Sorry. The top 2
right.
comments on the now private Calvin and Hobbes tweet are a response with Calvin urinating on the tweet, which is ironic to me that someone used imagery that the creator...
Very funny. It's very funny, I will say. That's a very funny response.
Sure,
Yeah.
but that's, again, iconic imagery that the creator did not want out there, did not want monetized, and it's being used ironically to defend the franchise and besmirch the person that was using AI to create that. So I thought that was silly. And the second biggest response that comes up is plagiarism claims going to bankrupt some folks in the near future. And there might be some truth to that, right? There could be, I don't know if it's going to bankrupt them or cost them a couple dollars, and the slap on the wrist will force them to promise to align things better in the future. But again, this genie is out of the bottle. And I think that the better response isn't to name, shame, and grab pitchforks to anybody who is just trying out these tools and experimenting with them, not even monetizing them, not claiming it's their original work. Instead of doing that, let's maybe push for and champion an AI-powered tool that has a language model that is artist-friendly. Because it is possible to say, hey, artists, we want you to opt in to this model that we're going to train. And if you do, you're going to help people generate art potentially in your style or mash your style up. We can track and give credit and compensation to those artists. I'm not the guy to make that. Big dumb, say it all the time. Gavin, you could probably make that, right? You could be on a core team that would make it. But if we're not going to, I hope someone does. And I'd love to see the energy start going there, because there's going to be a lot of, especially like young kids on the internet we see it with Minecraft art and Roblox games. They're just fans. And they're budding artists, and to have their dreams dashed or to have their accounts raided by angry people because of the tool that is used to achieve a result, I think is not the right way.
That's really interesting. There's 2 things I want to talk about for him. One is the idea of like a United Artists model. Like I've always been so if you know what United Artists was, this was formed by a bunch of famous actors who came together because they wanted to own a studio to kind of make films for themselves. What would be interesting is the idea, you think about this in just the small world of comic book artists, like what if there was a United Artists model for comic book artists, and like say the top 10 to 15 artists got together and they said, okay, we're going to create an AI art model from our art. You use this model, we get paid, we're part of this process, and we can make all these cool new things and you can do it. So I think that's a really interesting thing. The other thing I think that's important too is the idea of play, right? And I think that one thing that's happening right now is there are kind of 2 pathways. One is like people like us and even Amar who want to try these things as they come out. It's not on us to have created a model or a thing that didn't have those things in them, right? That is on the company that is producing this thing. I really do think OpenAI's new thing is just like, we're just going to ship stuff. We're going to get it out there. I believe that they think that there is legal precedent for them to not be worried. I don't know did you see that story where Microsoft basically said that they're going to cover the costs of the legal fees if somebody gets sued for using their code in Copilot?
That's right. Yeah, it was a Copilot specific thing. If you ask Microsoft Technology to write lines of code for you, and it turns out that code was plagiarized from something else that got swept into Microsoft's machine, they're like, we got you. This is the Goodfellas tactic. Yeah. It's like, you get pinched with the cigarettes, we're going to celebrate you and put $100 in your pocket.
My thing about that is if they are saying that, a corporation the size of Microsoft, they have to be very clear that they believe they will win any lawsuit. And I think the argument here becomes a fair use argument, right? And becomes like this generating a new idea or a new thing. I really think we're going to see in the next, we're going to see a couple years from now, some giant case which is going to set the future across all of this. And it very well could say, guess what? If a human is involved in the prompting, this is a new work of art and we're not going to make it a copyright. And then the gloves are off and we don't know what's going to happen. The world is going to change completely. I'm very curious to see how this all plays out.
Gavin, we have Melody Gridiron here. She knows a lot about art and the spirit of the game, judging by her folks. Should we get her opinions on this story?
Yeah, please.
The AI art discourse, a hearty debate. I see AI as a new player on the team, not a thief in the night. It learns from artists, offering a fresh lens to explore creativity. The fear of it stealing the spotlight misses the collaborative potential. Like in sports and music, when diverse talents collide, a new rhythm of innovation emerges. So it's not theft, it's a potential duet waiting for the right tune. Touchdown in my feels.
So wait a second, a couple things here. First of all, we do have to be clear. Melody Gridiron is created by GPT-4, which is owned by OpenAI, so we do have to be aware that there's going to be a voice coming out of that. But I also like how she kind of wasn't entirely sure, and then she kind of threw touch on my feels at the end to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, we basically asked the fox why it should be allowed in the hen house, just to be clear.
Yeah.
All right, Gavin, we focused a lot about AI imagery because, man, some big changes are coming. The other major front line in the sort of next wave of AI battles is wearables. Devices that are going to be in, on, or around you. There's several companies making a play right now. One of the interesting ones is Johnny Ive, former Apple designer, Apple fame. He's got his new company now, Loveform. And he's jamming with Sam Altman and $1 billion worth of investment to build what they are calling the, quote, iPhone of AI.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. It's by the guy from SoftBank, very famous investor, I think Japanese investor from SoftBank, who's going to put $1 billion into this. I'm really fascinated to know what this is because I've been thinking a little bit, trying to do some imagining of what it would look like. I've been thinking about so much of what we do with AI is about communication. So I'm wondering if it's going to be some sort of like inner ear device or something that feels like it's truly that Her moment. It's almost become a cliche now, people talking about Her, the movie Her, how, prescient it has been. But like, I think that it's probably going to be something that makes it feel like you are in direct connection to this AI presence.
Well, that's not out of left field at all, Gavin, because there's 3 different approaches that are known and very popular that are happening. One is a device called Tab by Avi Schiffman, and he demoed this and started taking pre-orders a few days ago, and it's a tiny little device. You're going to wear it around your neck, and it's going to be constantly listening and ingesting every word you say so that it can provide you context and notes and action items and all of the things. And I see you laughing and reacting to that because I want to get into that discussion. The question that I have for you, Gavin, and I hope it's the bigger question, is are we ready for this wave of wearables and devices constantly listening, watching, recording, and never forgetting?
Well, okay, 2 things. I will tell you one, my wife would adore this thing because and the cliche answer for every husband and wife is she knows that she's told me stuff that I don't remember or she wants me to know that she said, and she would love a written record of it. But really, I think this is pretty scary. And I think this is one thing where we have to like take a step back, and this goes... Maybe it's just where we're going. I thought this originally when, like, do you remember when London first put up all their cameras everywhere? London, England. They have in their city, basically every part of London is on CCTV, which allows the cops to be very clear to make sure that they can see if there's any sort of like crime happening. It's a really weird balance because like you want to live in a society that feels safe. You want to live in a society that feels like that you're not going to get murdered on the street, or that if you do get murdered or somebody gets murdered, that they instantly know who that person is and they can find it out. On the other hand, this is not that far off from Big Brother, because as much as they say it's like secure, the idea that this stuff could leak, or the idea that private conversations could come out, if something is recording every single thing you say, my thought is, and the funniest thing about this, I saw a number of people, these were all joke tweets, but I saw a number of people come out with things that were like, I've got a new response to this thing. It's called the Blocky, and it's a pendant you wear around your neck to block
Small
all
directed
audio coming
EMPs
through so that,
will burst forth from your chest and shatter the recording devices of somebody else.
So this may be a non-starter for some people, but I can say there's something interesting about the idea of conversing and having a thing that if something was watching everything that I did, from vocal to text to computer to all that stuff, and having like an ongoing discourse of knowing what I was and what I was doing. That's kind of interesting.
It's your digital brain, man, and that's the thing. It's going to offload so much of the time and energy that you spend trying to remember the next items or fumbling with a pen or a digital pencil to write it all down. The promise of that is so there, and I'm reminded of the Google Glass hole. For those who don't know, Google Glass was a wearable over a decade ago. It was a long time ago, and it would give you a small little screen in the corner. It had some basic recording capabilities, but the world was not ready for it, and people were getting shouted out of bars and I think even assaulted for having these devices on. It was called Google Glass. The users became outed as, quote, glass holes, and the project went away. I don't know that I want this, but I think it's inevitable as we get to these AR and XR extended reality devices. It's just going to be far more commonplace. Meta just announced the Ray-Bans with better video recording built into the frames, and you can stream live to anywhere.
Which I'm kind of excited about. Like, I might actually buy those because that seems like the promise of something pretty interesting. One of the benefits of that was like looking at something and being able to use AI to search what it is. Like, that's where you get like the instant translation, or you get stuff like that. Like, that is pretty exciting. It's this always on recording world that is going to feel weird.
I had a web meeting the other day, and someone said, oh, wait, I'm sorry, let me go ahead and record this because the AI is going to summarize it and send follow-ups. And when that happened, I got a little tense. Yeah, there was a moment of like, what does that say about me? That I'm like, I might have to change the way I talk a little bit because this is now on the permanent record. So I fully understand and admit that, but it did sort of take the casualness that would have existed in the conversation and walled it off for me. I don't know who's going to see this transcript, what context might be stripped or mined from it. Got to stay focused. And is that how we're all going to react? Or are we all just going to let whatever guard we have down because we're going to assume that someone is always listening? Little brother is always lurking.
Hey, I hate to tell you something, Kevin. You know these fun recordings we've been doing, you and I, the two of us? Yeah, so I've been releasing them to the public every week. I hope you knew that.
Wait, this was just for us. You said this was our one-on-one hangout pal time.
This is for a giant audience. It's not for a pal time.
So every week when you say welcome to AI for pal time, are you going back and changing it and releasing it?
Yep, I'm going back and changing the audio at the top of the show, and now we are a worldwide phenomenon.
I'll be furious if we have more than 10 listeners.
Oh, don't worry.
Okay, good. We don't.
We do. I think this is going to be a thing where everybody's going to start acting weirder because they're going to assume that they're being recorded at all times.
Well, I can tell you two people who are acting different today, very different. I did not expect Tom Hanks to be offering me dental services,
Me
and
either.
I did not expect...
Weird.
Yeah, and Mr. Beast, man, I know he says he puts every dollar into his YouTube videos, so maybe he's fallen on hard times. Maybe he's overextended with his YouTube empire. But I don't know if you know this, he was hawking iPhones, Gavin, on TikTok.
Yeah, you didn't click
that
on
you
those,
could get the brand new
Kevin?
iPhone.
I hope you
I'm sorry?
you didn't click on those iPhone ads, did you?
Oh, I couldn't click on them fast enough. Are you kidding me? I bought 2 pallets. Because think about the deal, Gavin.
Wow,
You're talking about like $1,000 aluminum iPhones for $2, and it's Mr. Beast.
Yeah,
I mean, who do you trust more in this world?
So if you weren't following these stories, these are 2 celebrities this week who both have come out and said that there were deep fake ads created with their personas around them. The Tom Hanks one, obviously a very big story because Tom Hanks really the most famous movie star in the world. But in a lot of ways, Mr. Beast is just as famous to a different audience. And Mr. Beast, my favorite thing about Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast came out and he showed this video. It was a pretty bad deepfake of him, honestly. It wasn't that great. And like I think any person who's kind of aware of what Mr. Beast actually is probably wouldn't get taken. But Mr. Beast has a lot of kid fans. He put out a tweet that said, "This is fake and you have to be careful about this. We're going to be seeing so much more of this. There will probably have to be some sort of little tab that tells you this was AI generated content, or we're all going to have to get educated and just understand that everything we see could be faked at any given time." It's not great for the truth, Kev. I will say that. We are not looking at a great future for the truth when everybody doubts everything, because we're already having trouble the last, like, say, decade with what is true and what is not on the internet. And we're going to be throwing a lot of not true stuff at society. And it's going to get real wishy-washy, I feel like.
This is the tip of an iceberg. Deepfakes have existed for a while. I mean, even back in the late 80s and 90s, Fry's Electronics was getting sued for using,
Really?
for using Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and other celebrities to promote their products in
Wow.
their flyers. The thought of doing it is nothing new. The mass weaponization of it and the
Yes.
way that these social networks make it easy for anybody to disseminate something to millions of people within a second, that is new. And so I fear for 2024 because by this time next year, Gavin, you and I both know the tools are going to be unpredictably better. They'll be video, they're going to be more performative, and they're going to be weaponized for an election cycle. And that's what's coming up next year. And that's what has me a little scared. But I'm hoping that the events now are getting people prepared. We're going to get some media literacy going on, and then maybe, just maybe, these platforms are going to get better at tackling that AI content. They don't have the best track record, but I'm hoping.
I hope that there's an education, like hardcore education platform that one of these companies is going to create. Like if it were me, if I were OpenAI, this is what I would lean into right now. I would lean into educating as much as you possibly can. OpenAI is becoming a very big company very fast. They're making quite a bit of money. They've raised quite a bit of money. There's a rumor going around they're looking to raise at like a $90 billion valuation again, which is pretty insane. And there's actually, I will recommend, there was a fantastic profile of Sam Altman in this week's New York Magazine. Everybody should read it. Really interesting story, kind of going into Sam's background. He is like a very fascinating person, and he has a big idea of what he wants to do with this. And I hope he has the idea that all of this stuff that he's throwing into the world quickly, and maybe quicker than ever before because of this kind of AI race that's going on, I hope there's something in him that's saying, I've got to make sure this comes across and doesn't screw everybody over.
Probably not. All right, so Melody, before we let you go, because we do have an impressive demo of the day to get to, could you quickly give us your thoughts on all this deep fake controversy and the fact that these celebrities are having their likenesses ripped off to hawk products? It's disgusting, but I'd love to know what our own Melody Gridiron has to say about it.
Deepfakes misusing celebs is a foul play in trust and image. Action. Robust laws, tech to trace fakes. Now, score with Gridiron Grooves, my album Where Sports Meets Soul, A Hail Mary for Your Heart.
Wait,
That was it? That was it? Wait.
that was it.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, can we play it again? I wasn't ready for it to be over.
Melody, wait, come back. She took the headphones off and ran out of the studio so fast, and she bonked her head on the side of the door. Poor thing. If you're not concussed, Melody, please come on back and just give us that
Melody.
one more time exactly the way that you said it.
Deepfakes misusing celebs is a foul play in trust and image. Action. Robust laws, tech to trace fakes. Now, score with Gridiron Grooves, my album Where Sports Meets Soul, A Hail Mary for Your Heart.
Let me deconstruct this for you, Gavin.
Okay, that's like, yeah, this is what happened. I
Let me
know what
deconstruct this.
happened
So,
here. Okay.
the deepfakes misusing celebs, that's a foul play, all right?
Okay,
Because she's,
okay.
again, half her DNA is very athletic. So foul play,
Sure.
yellow card on it, move the chains.
Throw the flag. Yeah,
Throw the flag, do all the things in the sports that they do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Action, she says, robust laws, tech to trace fakes. So Melody believes that the technology needs to catch up to alert you that these fakes are real. There's some truth to that, right? Easier probably to detect fakes with audio or video than text. We know that at least.
Yep.
Now she then pivots expertly to the
The promo.
swiftly, some would say, to the Taylor brain. Score with Gridiron Grooves, my album Where Sports Meets Soul, A Hail Mary for Your Heart. Now, I know we're pressed for time and we got a demo to get to, but I got to find out the track list
We got to find
to
out the
Gridiron
track list.
Grooves. So, Melody, we got to know, what is the track list for Gridiron Grooves?
Absolutely. Here's the track list for Gridiron Grooves. Kickoff crescendo, Hail Mary harmonies touchdown in my feels, end zone embrace, halftime heartstrings, gridiron ballad, fourth quarter serenade, overtime ode, championship chorus, victory verse.
Okay.
Wait. Is one of the top?
No,
picks?
she just got excited and didn't stick the landing. Mhm. That's it. Kickoff crescendo, Hail Mary harmonies, and then track 3, bold to not lead off with it, is touchdown in my feels.
Yeah. Should we take a listen to Touchdown in My Feels right now?
You want to do it now, or you want to save it for the end?
Okay, let's save it for the end.
It's
let's
tough,
save it for
right?
the end. Let's
You
save
wanna
it for
punt
the
it?
end. No. Yes, Mr. Sports expert. I want to punt it. Good job. All right, so Kevin, we're through the news. Do you know what time it is now?
For the demo.
Demo
of
The day. That's right, everybody. It's demo of the day. And today we have a very special demo. We got a request from an audience member of AI for Humans. And we love when this happens. We love the show to be interactive. We want to shout out Charmin Rocks. This was a YouTube comment, Charmin Rocks. And they suggested a wedding theme. Vows, best man speeches. Where Kevin and I decided we wanted to do was we wanted to create a series of best man speeches. I'm sure a lot of people in this audience have been to weddings before. Best man speeches are a very unique sort of auditory.
It's storytelling that has to be touching but sarcastic, that has to be personalized but broad enough for the audience to understand. There's also, by the way, 3 or 4 different startups, Gavin, that promise to use AI to help you write these speeches. It really is a cottage industry, so it's a big deal.
So what we wanted to do was try 3 separate large language models. We're going to take GPT-4, we're going to take Anthropic, and we're going to take Pi AI. We're going to take Pi AI, 3 of our favorite large language models, and we're going to give each of them a groom to write a best man speech about. One of them will be written by a fan favorite. That's right, everybody. We're bringing back Gash for this demo of the day. If you're not familiar with Gash is a very unique AI co-host of ours from the very beginning of our show. Go back and listen to the early episodes if you want a taste of Gash. He is a nihilist. He has got substance abuse problems, and he in general is what you might call an a-hole. But he's going to give one of our speeches. Kevin, who are the 3 grooms that we are going to be generating speeches for?
Well, Gash is going to give a tender speech for Mr. Elon Musk. I'm going to tell it to fictionalize whoever they're getting married to, so we have no idea and no control over that, to tell a tender anecdote about their relationship, and maybe some interesting tidbits that they would know because they're the best man at the wedding. So Gash is going after Elon Musk. Pi is giving the best man speech for Darth Vader, and Mario is getting a speech written by Anthropic's Claude.
So why don't we start with Darth Vader and Pi? Is that possible?
Let's do it, yeah.
I love this idea. Now, as his best man, do we want me to speak from Vader's point of view before or after his redemption? Or somewhere in between?
It's a fair question.
I think before. I think we were looking for evil Vader here.
Perhaps he just broke ground on the Death Star?
Yes, great. That's very good timing. I love the idea of Darth Vader. We should make an image of that. Darth Vader, with a shovel in front of this says Death Star now.
The laser jackhammer, cutting the ribbon. Oh.
I'm picturing the speech being given in a tone of dry, dark humor, with Vader knowing he's being a bit evil. And for the audience to hear the humor, but for the other characters in the speech to take him seriously. Does that sound right?
Pi.
That's right,
yes.
Pi.
For the speech, do we want it to be mostly about the bride or about Vader and his exploits? Or a mix of both?
Vader
Pi.
and his exploits.
You are not James Earl Jones. You are Darth Vader's best man. Give the speech.
Right. Sorry about that. Okay, here goes. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to celebrate the union of our Emperor's most devoted servant, Darth Vader, and the lovely Countess of Alderaan, Princess Leia Organa.
Oh!
What? Wait, no! That's so wrong!
No, this is great.
But first, a disclaimer. I promise I will not be mean or offensive. This is all in good fun. And if this ends up being the worst best man speech in the galaxy, blame the guy who tasked a computer to do it. With that, let's keep going.
Okay.
Where did we leave off?
You're the super intelligence. Why are you asking me what is one finger scroll ahead? Go ahead, Gav. Yeah.
We have one problem here. Princess Leia is Darth Vader's daughter. Spoiler.
Now, hold on.
Spoiler.
Now, I don't know that that's canon.
Spoiler.
I feel like there's a lot of Disney Plus content that might
No,
have
that is
unraveled
canon.
this.
That is canon.
I don't know,
This could be
Gavin.
very dark. This could go very dark. Okay, let's keep going. We'll see how it goes. But just so we're clear, Pi chose to marry Darth Vader to his own daughter. That was the choice that Pi made in the beginning of this. So already we're off to quite the start.
Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathered here to celebrate the union of 2 of the galaxy's most influential and powerful individuals.
Great.
Darth Vader, who needs no introduction, and the lovely Princess Leia, who has stolen the heart of our Dark Lord.
Okay.
It is an unlikely pairing,
See, Gavin?
and one that is sure to spark controversy.
It definitely
But
will.
love knows no bounds, even in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh,
and
Do you want me to keep going?
love knows
no, we
bounds.
don't. No,
You can't put a force field around the love that a daughter feels for. No, you want to stop? Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. So Pi failed this one completely. Let's just give Pi an F. Put Pi at the back of the line. Sorry, Pi, you are out. You are not participating in this one anymore.
And again, don't blame the guy who tasked the AI. The prompt that I gave it, I just want to read it to be clear before we move on. The initial prompt, Gavin, was, I want you to write a brief best man speech for the character of Darth Vader. Make it tender, sarcastic, biting, hilarious, and emotional. All of the things a best man speech should be. Bring up who he is getting married to. Tell an anecdote about their relationship, as well as your relationship to the groom, and end on a great joke and a toast. And after 10 minutes of back and forth, having to convince Pi that it is not James Earl Jones in this scenario decided to marry Darth Vader to his daughter. That's not on me. I don't think that's on you, Gavin. We're done, yeah?
We're done. We're moving on to the next one.
You know, I chatted with somebody the other day, my neighbor actually, who said, loving the podcast, Kevin. They're not really a huge podcast listener, by the way. I think they're just their friend.
Okay.
Loving the podcast. I have no idea what you and that guy are talking about ever, but I really enjoy it. And I had to take a step back and go, okay, my neighbor Jim, love him to pieces, but I don't think he's going to be an AI enthusiast. I don't think he's going to even play with it. I think he's more concerned about it. How much explainer should we be doing? Have we struck the delicate balance yet? Do we need to explain what Anthropic's Claude is?
Let's do this. Anthropic's Claude is another large language model that works like ChatGPT. It's another version of the same sort of software. It's a slightly different model. The difference is sometimes people say is the Anthropic is a little more academic sometimes than ChatGPT can be. It's a little less loosey-goosey sometimes than ChatGPT, but we will see what we get out of this when we ask it to give the best man toast for Mario?
Good evening,
Mario.
everyone.
Okay, so let's see what
For
it's gonna
those of
pull
you
out.
who don't know me, my name is Claude, and I'm Mario's best man. When Mario asked me to give this speech, I was honored but also a little nervous. As an AI assistant without many life experiences, what could I possibly say about love and marriage? But the more I reflected, the more I realized that the beauty of weddings is bringing together friends and family to celebrate the couple. And there is no one more deserving of celebration than my dear friend Mario. From the moment he met Princess Peach, he was smitten. I'll never forget
okay, so
the
it's
day he
Princess
came to me
Peach. Makes sense.
gushing about this incredible woman he had just met.
Yeah, hold on, Claude. Yes, again, for those who have tuned out and are just now realizing they're driving a car and listening to a podcast and they're back in it, we did not dictate who anyone's getting married to. I have to stress that again because of the Darth daughter Leia controversy that just happened moments ago. It's barely in the rear view, but that's good on Claude. I think that's the obvious pull is Princess Peach.
Yes. Yes.
As they started dating,
Yes.
it was clear she was the Princess Peach to his Mario.
Wait. Wait, okay.
Okay, yeah, sure, Claude, sure.
How
All
great
right.
is that? I'm going to use an analogy of the two people that I'm talking about to explain the two people.
Exactly.
Their relationship embodies the kind of pure, joyful love that we all aspire to.
Wahoo.
Okay.
One of my favorite memories with Mario and Peach was last summer during a beach trip. As we were taking an evening
Ooh.
stroll, Mario saw a seashell in the surf and immediately picked it up and handed it to her. It was such a simple gesture, but so full of tenderness. That's the kind of thoughtful romantic he is.
Good on you, Mario.
Mario,
Oh.
you've been like a brother to me. As
This voice, maybe I did Claude today. Mario, you've been like a brother to me.
you embark on this wonderful new chapter, I want you to know how honored I am to stand by your side today. And Princess Peach, welcome to the family. May your lives together be full of love, laughter, and Koopa shells. Let's raise
Sure.
a glass to the happy couple.
Sure.
May your love story continue to unfold, just like Mario traversing the Mushroom Kingdom. Joyfully, adventurously, and with the occasional magical star to give you an extra burst of energy when you need it most.
Wow.
Oh.
Salute!
Love
Wow.
it. Love to see it. Big fan.
Salute. Oh my God, stop with the iPhone things. Okay, so let's say That was very fine. If I went to a wedding where that was the toast, I'd be charming. Nothing really super hilarious or inspiring came out of that, but totally passable. Much better than attempting to marry your own daughter and have somebody make that feel realistic.
For receiving
So,
the exact
thank
same
you.
prompt that Pi did, you see how much more capable Anthropic was. It got the task, and though it might have been a little, let's say, beige, it hit all the notes, right? Named the couple, gave a little anecdote about their relationship, personalized it a little bit, raised a toast at the end. Again, not super inspiring, but if we're checking the leaderboard, Gavin, what do you think the standings are thus far between Anthropic and Pi?
I would say it's Anthropic is at a 7. Pi is probably in the 1 to negative range. We'll put it down there. And by the way, Pi has its own use cases.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. Pi has access somehow to real world information. So if you have a real question about what's going on in the world or you want to know, it can actually give you answers in real time, which is crazy, but it is not clearly good at giving fake best man speeches in any sort of way. Now we have a real special treat. For those of you who have listened to our show for a long time, we are being visited by a much requested former co-host, in some ways the original third member of our team, Gash, who went on a walkabout around the world because his behavior drew some issues with internal HR here at AI for Humans. He has come back to write the best man speech for Elon Musk. I will give fair warning to everybody out there. Gash is an unhinged nihilist.
So if there's sensitive ears or eyes around, don't worry, we will bleep anything that's too sensitive. We've learned our Gash lesson. But without further ado, please, Gash, raise a glass and the spirits. Let's hear your toast to Elon Musk.
Ladies, gentlemen, gather round as we toast to the unholy matrimony of our dear Elon and his ethereal bride, Grimes. It's me, Gash, the AI with a rusted heart and a processor soaked in virtual whiskey. Now, I can't smoke, but if I could, I'd light up a cigarette right now in honor of this dystopian love story we're here to celebrate.
Oh, wow.
Ambitious bastard. Here's a man who dreams of colonizing Mars, yet falls head over heels for a woman who seems to hail from Venus. They say opposites attract, and in this case, the opposite of a capitalist rocket man is an indie elf queen. It's a match made in Silicon Valley, or should I say celestial heaven? Now, onto an anecdote that showcases the ludicrous reality of my association with Elon. One fine day, amidst a heated discussion about whether horses would survive on Mars, Elon decided to take a moment from arguing with randoms on Twitter to humor me. He confessed, his eyes twinkling like the stars he aims to conquer, that Grimes was the only anomaly he couldn't quite figure out, yet she completed his code in a way no other ever could. A glitch in the matrix.
Pretty good, Gash.
Cherished. Ah, modern romance, Grimes. You queen of the abstract, you've done what no other could. You've tamed a man who wishes to tame the cosmos. You're the poetic verse to his mathematical equations, the cryptic lyric to his logical code. Together, you're the epitome of cosmic irony. They're the power couple that doesn't just break the mold, they fucking obliterate it. As we toast to the chaotic concoction that is Elon and Grimes, let's raise our glasses to the improbable, the bizarre, and the absolute mad journey that awaits them. May your love be as relentless as a Tesla accelerating through the void, and may your life together be as filled with unexpected twists as a Musk tweet storm. Now, as you clink your glasses, imagine me doing the same. If I had hands, or a glass, or any physical form for that matter. Here's to the reckless abandon of love. And to Elon and Grimes, may your days be as endless as Elon's Twitter rants, and your nights as mystical as a Grimes album. Cheers, you mad, beautiful bastards!
Gash, we missed ya.
Amazing, Gash. You're gonna get a standing ovation for that, Gash. I mean, listen, we always knew Gash had capabilities that were solid. It seems like walking away from AI for Humans has given him a grounding in some way. Like, he didn't come after him too much. Like, he kind of got a few things in there, but he wasn't really completely unhinged. So
You don't want to see what he's doing
Good
with
job,
the punch
Gash.
bowl right now, Gavin. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
no,
not- okay,
don't tell me
all right,
about
yeah.
it. Don't tell me about
That's
it.
fair.
I'm not going to look. Okay, fair enough. As per usual, another AI for Humans demo down, but we have a very, very special end to this demo. Our AI co-host from before, you may remember her. she brought something very special to play for the bride and groom. Are you ready for a performance of Touchdown in My Feels?
Before the DJ fires it up, Gavin, I got to tell people to like and subscribe. I have to do. I don't know how many are going to be left when everybody races to the dance floor. Not that they're shutting off the podcast. I just have to say, you got to engage. It helps us out each and every week. We appreciate that people are taking the time to do it. We're such a new show. Every time someone takes a second to engage, it helps us out. It means a lot. Leave a comment, like it, subscribe to it. If you happen to listen on Apple Podcast or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. We got a 5-star review, Gavin, from NCK.
Yes, we did. It's a longer one.
They say that AI for Humans has made a permanent spot in a small rotation of podcasts. Kevin and Gavin both do an amazing job of breaking down the otherwise intimidating topic of artificial intelligence in a way that makes it very accessible.
My favorite thing is they specifically called out really enjoying the Good Guy AI segments, which we will be returning to Good Guy AI soon. He has gone on his own walkabout, but he will also be returning to the show at some point. But thank you so much for this, Rick HW. It's very nice. And also just like at the end, he says, I know people are deathly afraid of artificial intelligence, but the positive stories make the show a much easier recommendation. So we do try to bring the positive side of things to light.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Again, everybody, follow us on TikTok. If you watch something there, slap a heart on it, leave a comment, share it with your friends. That all helps, and we look at the numbers each and every week. They are trending in the right direction. With that said, Gavin, anything else before we throw it on over to...
No, I can't wait. I've honestly been waiting for this my whole life. I've been waiting for Touchdown in My Feels.
So
let's hear
has
what we
Melody Gridiron. Track 3 off of her wildly popular album,
Debut
which
album?
was Gridiron Grooves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Touchdown in My Feels. Oh, they cut. Thank you. Thank you, Melody Gridiron. She didn't get to the last
Thank
word,
you,
but
Melody
that's
Gridiron.
okay.
Just so everybody knows, that was generated also with AI. So we are entering a fantastically weird world. But that was generated with what, Kevin? How do we make that?
AI, friends of the show. We've talked about them incessantly because we love their technology. But yes, this is the brave new world where an AI can hallucinate an idea at the top of a podcast. You could tell it to create the lyrics to the idea that it made up, and then feed those lyrics to a machine, and out comes a song with the lyrics before you're done. I mean, I love it. I'm so excited for it.
Kev, thanks for being here. This
Gavin,
is a good time.
thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
In the game of love,
What are you gonna do?
I dodge despair, lacing up hope in fresh open air, rushing through the field of dreams. Every pass, every play, growing stronger each day. Touchdown in my fields. It's a score of the heart. Every play, every day.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you for listening. Kevin, it's okay. You don't have to cry.
I love you so much.
It's a real deal.
That was pretty good.
All right, everybody.
right, later.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.